full branch of the Danske Bank Group. European banking expertise.
And you're welcome back to the programme. Time is 6:45. Now, it's Thursday morning. Alan Jordan from BookBuzz has joined us in studio. And today we're looking at What's Mine is Yours, How Collaborative Consumption is Changing the Way We Live by Rachel Botsman and Rue Rogers. What's this about?
Yeah, it's very good, Ian. Good morning. How are you? You see, one of the real problems, Ian, is that modern economies are based on accumulating stuff. We all have tons of stuff at home, in the office, in the car, in the shed. And the problem is that our jobs allow us to pay taxes which pay for services underlying the state. And it's all premised on economic activity that takes in production for need and accumulation, not exchange. So we really do need to keep making stuff and buying it and throwing it away so that we can actually survive. In fact, our Minister of Finance is saying we need to buy more stuff. What this book is trying to say, do you know what? We have enough stuff. We actually need to start exchanging it and sharing it. So that's the primary premise of it. I'm
sure most businesses will say that's a horrendous idea, unless you're in I suppose, the technology industry where you're kind of, we can sort out all the stuff you have and make it better. But if you're somebody who relies on consumption, for your business, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, you see, and what the book does, it doesn't lecture you too much, okay? So it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually just saying, look, there's lots of models out there where you can share and make money. So, for example, eBay, there's tons of car sites out there, and it uses a couple of different methodologies for collaborative sharing that shows you there's an economic model to it. And really what it's saying is, do you know what? People really want to share. They want to go back to the old days whereby you went across to your neighbour and said, listen, would you have a loan some sugar? The old days when you were the first person on the street to get a telly and everybody came in and watched it. They're saying, we used to do this before, and maybe now's the time. And the book is showing that there seems to be a trend that people actually want to connect with one another, and there are business models out there that'll work.
But does it make for increased sales? I mean, some of the companies mentioned that are Nike. I mean, how will that business benefit from some of these ideas?
Okay, if you take Nike, for example, so instead of spending, it's actually cut 50% of its advertising through normal media channels just into setting up collaborative sites where people talk about the run they did last week, what route they took. Does anybody want to lift out there? Because I'm going running there next week. So it uses social media and a kind of a collaborative source that allows people to communicate, share and exchange. And then the byproduct, because that isn't the mission statement, the byproduct is, in actual fact, we create less waste and we don't pollute the planet as much. So in actual fact, it's good all round.
Well, something that has come up, we all know about in Ireland, is credit ratings, but why are these not going to be important anymore?
Yeah, good point. The premise of this book is saying, do you know what? Reputation is going to be more important than credit. So the same way that testimonials are very important for a business, your reputational rating as you go to car share or couch surf or get people to use your goods and services, people will want to know that Ian Guider is someone that can be trusted, not just economically, but he's a good person and he follows through on what he says. A bit like on eBay. So eBay has a system there using PayPal, etc., that you get a rating that this person's been on a number of times, they're a good person to deal with, you can trust them.
Do they say why these changes are taking place? I mean, is a lot of this just a fad? A lot of this, we need to declutter our lives. Is this not just a quick fad for the internet age?
We all have a group hug after the show, Ian. You're right. You see, the book really argues that we're all hyper-consumers and we know it, right? So we've been cleverly manipulated over the years by the power of persuasion, the buy now, pay later culture. Like, the US has 1.3 billion credit cards, 4 cards for every man, woman and child. The fact that things don't last as long as they used to because there's planned obsolescence. So all the major manufacturers have been building things so that they don't last and we consume. So we all know that, listen, we're eating up too much of the planet's resources and we need to actually just slow down a little bit. And what the book is saying is perhaps this economic blip tsunami that we've all gone through, it's a catalyst to say, do you know what? There is a better way. You can still make a book. We just don't have to eat ourselves inside out.
Who's this for?
Do you know what? It's for everybody. If you're a techie, you'll probably know a lot of it anyway because, I was just talking to Patrick King when we were waiting outside and he said, there's an app on his phone that you plug in and say, listen, I'm leaving the News Talk studios now and I'm going to Southside the city. Is anybody going there? Can I get a lift? So, but if you're not familiar with the amount of sharing resources out there from eBay, Zipcar, etc., it's got a plethora of all the sites. And I think for business people and entrepreneurs, you're going to get a lot of ideas instead of selling people products on how you can maybe sell them services over a longer period across a load of product ranges. So it's for everybody, really.
Yeah, a lot of the ideas in this book reminds us of some of the stuff we've talked about in the last couple of months in which, the idea of traditionally just selling to people and making money off the back of it is gone, and now we're going to have to look at different ways of making money and not as much money.
Yep, that's it. And that's the key. Not as much money before, so a little bit less greed. You can say there's the kind of group sharing, kind of group hug attitude. But do you know what? There's a feeling when you read the book that, we can't just continue on the way we are. And it isn't all this situation where evil capitalism is going to die and burn. Actually, you can still make a book and we can save the planet and actually connect as individuals. And it's actually saying the good thing about the net is allowing people to connect. So the consumers end up designing the product that they want. As a lot of brand companies now are saying they don't own the brand, the consumer now owns it, because we've so much power, because we tell people, millions of people on the net through Facebook, whether we like something or don't.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that, I mean, how does a company like Nike or like some of the other brands adapt to changes like this? I mean, it's okay perhaps for the more modern companies who are in business maybe 10 years, but your traditional big conglomerates.
Well, again, if you take the likes of Nike, and we spoke about this before with Sony, PlayStation, in the whole change of cultural structures, and Martin Thomas's Loose, is they're slowly breaking down their bureaucracy because they have to communicate with their consumers and with the people who buy from them. And people are now getting to the stage where we don't like the large brands, we don't like the large corporates. You've got to talk to us as individuals. So they are breaking down their silos to communicate and ultimately to be able to sell more of their services.
Alan Jordan from BookBuzz, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Love the title of that. What's mine is yours. Last week we had Porn for Bankers, two great titles.